Hello, this is my first YouTube video I've ever made. The point of this channel is to spread my knowledge of paleontology and to learn more about it as I make these videos. And I plan to make more of them if I have the time to. I've got school and stuff, so probably horrible uploading schedule. But I wanted to make this channel to educate myself and other people. And the first dinosaur that I want to talk about, of which I'm probably going to talk about more than just dinosaurs, though my interest is more in the Mesozoic era, But the first dinosaur I wanted to talk about was Saurophaganax, or I guess not Saurophaganax. Well, it was reclassified as Allosaurus annex because the leg bone that was originally described as Saurophaganax maximus was recently discovered last year, sometime late fall, to actually be a species of sauropod that wasn't described before. So instead of it being Saurophaganax, they had the sauropod keep the name because that's how classification works. And now there's a plant-eating dinosaur with the name Saurophaganax maximus, which means great lizard-eating king. So I wanted to talk about the cooler dinosaur that came out of this chimera, which was Allosaurus annex. And I actually have a figurine of Allosaurus annex. Maybe a little close-up you might want. Very beautiful. It's from PSNO. They're great. Not sponsored. So Allosaurus annex lived 151 million years ago, give or take, in the Morrison Formation. So, in the only state that it's been discovered in was Oklahoma. I think only 2 specimens have been discovered. It was a theropod of the Allosaurus genus, and it measured about 35 to 40 feet and weighed 4 to 6 tons at its mid-range for size. So it was most likely one of the apex predators of its environment. So Allosaurus in the Morrison Formation, it coexisted with not prey animals, but animals like Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, Apatosaurus, Bariosaurus, all sauropods. It also coexisted with Dryosaurus and Champtosaurus, and other theropods like Allosaurus fragilis, Ceratosaurus, and Torvosaurus. Now, most of its prey, animals that it would feed upon, of this selection, it didn't eat many of them. It wasn't big enough to take down a fully grown sauropod. And another animal that it lived with, how did I forget? Stegosaurus. Let's just say it wasn't keen on being food. It had those big old thagomizers, which are probably the only tail weaponry that has direct evidence of being used on a preying animal. So most of its food options were small, young, or weak sick sauropods or ambushing stegosaurs. It couldn't take it on a 1v1 man-to-man fist fight, you know? So, because of this lack of food, it was quite scarce compared to Allosaurus fragilis, which is actually the dinosaur with the most skeletons, not skeletons, but specimens found of it. I think around 140 in the Morrison Formation, which is absolutely incredible. It's amazing that we're able to find that many of just one dinosaur species. That's a lot. Just thinking about how difficult fossilization is in a dry, arid environment, which was another reason for Saurophaganax's not so big population size. It was a large theropod, so it most likely didn't foster many young, and it needed a lot of food to keep her afloat. And with the lack of much water in the long dry seasons that late Jurassic Morrison would have, it's likely that if there were many Allosaurus annexes, they would probably kill each other off for competition. But at least they didn't hold too much competition with other theropods. Allosaurus fragilis compared to Saurophaganax annex, Allosaurus annex was about a ton or two smaller, so they were hunting different animals. They did somewhat overlap. Allosaurus did hunt Stegosaurus, but they hunted other smaller animals as well. Torvosaurus was really the only dinosaur at the time that fully competed with Saurophaganax. I'm just going to keep calling it that. And then Ceratosaurus was far too small to compete with Saurophaganax. It weighed probably around 600 to 800 kilograms, and that's probably pushing it. They would most likely eat human-sized prey like Dryosaurus or Camptosaurus, which were ornithopods. But to give example of maybe something that it might hunt, I have another figurine here. Now, this is this is what a fully grown Camarasaurus would be. And earlier, you couldn't even see Saurophaganax. Like here's the top of his head compared, so if you could see that at the bottom of the video. So obviously, taking down a beautiful animal like this by yourself, which they most likely could not have any sort of group behavior with their small population size, would be quite the task. But of course, maybe smaller Camarasauruses, younger, sick ones, wounded Camarasauruses would certainly be on their palate. And there were a lot of other sauropods that had the relatively same stature as Camarasaurus. Now, the main reason my first video is on Saurophaganax is that I have a funny story about this figurine that I have. So, this guy I got for my birthday last year. And that was about 3 months before the information about Saurophaganax maximus being a misclassified dinosaur came out to be. Or it was after. Did I say after? Oh. So I'm very thankful of it because I still love this animal, even if it's Allosaurus annex now, and probably a little smaller than this. But it's just a little unfortunate that that's how it went. So, but I have actually much more PSNO figures than just these two. So, if I decide to make more videos, which I hope I will, I'll talk about those ones first. And those two are also quite related, so you'll see them in the same video probably. But yeah, it's a beautiful animal. I wish I could say more about it, but there's not much physical fossil evidence for anything more definitive than what I've really said. Most of the measurements given were based off of other allosaurids, and since we only really have jaw bones of the animal, it's a little unlikely that I could say any more about it. So thank you for watching. It's my first YouTube video, and hope I make more.